New York City, which talks about needing affordable housing all the time, just like any of the big blue cities, because their policy, their regulations have constricted the supply of housing, and you just don't have any affordable housing. And yet they keep layering on layer after layer of regulation that spikes the cost of housing. Today, that's what we're looking at. Large blue city could see even higher housing costs, guaranteed they will if this goes through, with proposed plumbing regulation. They're going to require something as simple as changing out a stove or a dryer gas. You got to have a master plumber, of which there are very, very few for the population size of New York City. What's this mean for consumers? Let's get into it. Here we go.
The New York City Council expected to vote this week on a new housing bill. Now, we are told it could make living in the city more expensive. So, all right, Lauren, spell it out. What's in the bill?
So the City Council votes tomorrow on a bill requiring a master plumber or someone working under a master plumber perform any residential building inspections or replacements of gas appliances like stoves and clothes dryers. Problem is, there's only about 1,100 plumbers licensed in the city that match those qualifications, and they do not come cheap.
We estimate at a minimum $500 cost increase to install or swap out your gas appliances if this bill were to pass. But on top of that, there's a real logistics problem when you have a small number of master plumbers and so many appliances that are being changed out on a regular basis just throughout New York City.
Yeah. The union disagrees. They say when this work is performed illegally to cut costs, you're opening buildings and residents to potential fire and explosion hazards from improperly connected appliances. The vote is hitting the Big Apple when residents are already squeezed. Look at this. New Yorkers pay an average $4,000 a month to live here. That's 146%.
$4,000 a month. $4,000 a month. And they're continually bitching about housing prices. And they constantly do this kind of nonsense. It's just, it's not infuriating. It's predictable. It's policy that makes things worse. It's literally the definition of crazy because they just keep doing it time and time and time again. I don't understand how it keeps getting more expensive. Well, this is how.
More than the national average. And opponents of this bill worry that landlords will tack on that added regulatory cost to their rent. I know. Massachusetts had seen literally an exodus, especially of young professionals, because of their restrictive zoning and their slow permitting. All that drives the price of homes up. So we're feeling it across the Northeast. I'd say across the country.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've seen it before. Thanks very much, Lauren.
Yeah, you know where they're not seeing that kind of ridiculous decisions being made? Texas? Florida? Yeah, that's just a no-go. This is ridiculous. It's absurd. Now, to me, this is a union shakedown. I mean, it's some kind of deal like that. The union says, well, if they're not installed correctly, might have an explosion. Yeah, that's true. But does it necessarily need a master plumber who is licensed to do all of the super complex commercial type applications? Do you need a master plumber's license to install a gas stove or a gas dryer? I don't think so. I mean, most contractors can just throw that bad boy in, right? Pull a permit. Yep. You got everything vented, right? Yep. You got your, whatever basic code is. It's not that hard to figure out, right? You don't need a master plumber to do it. But, hey, this benefits the plumbing companies, of which there are only 1,126 or some damn number of master plumbers for a population of 7.5 million people in New York City, where we're talking about. Now, they're talking about 4 million homes. Okay, all right. Well, what about all the apartment units? What about you can just go on and on and on and on and on, right? Now, this is some kind of shakedown. And literally everybody, we need more housing. We need more affordable housing. Well, you need to stop doing knuckleheaded stuff like this, bird brain stuff like this, shenanigans like this. Because otherwise, 4,000, it's 5,000, 6,000. Average rent. Who can afford that? Who wants to afford that? I gotta live in New York City. All right. As mayoral candidates argue over how to rein in New York City's out of control cost of living, it's going like that. Yep. You wouldn't expect a city council to consider legislation that will drive up rents, slam homeowners' budgets, and give everyday New Yorkers fresh headaches just to benefit special interests. Special interests being the plumbing companies and those who have taken money to make this happen. Oof, did I say that? Yes. Who knows, right? I mean, you've got to have some level of that because this just doesn't make a lot of sense. It just doesn't. You don't need a master plumber to install basic plumbing appliances. Some of the other more complex stuff, yeah, absolutely. I'm not a huge fan of working on gas, anything. The only thing I really work on is my gas barbecue. Because it's super basic. And you know what? Don't put your face down inside your cook box when you smell gas, natural gas. Oh, what's that smell? Maybe I'll light it up with my lighter and see if it's really going. Right? Nah, I'm not really into that. I'm not really into explosions. But it doesn't take a genius to install your basic appliances that run off gas. It's not that hard. But that's exactly what's going to happen this week as the council votes on an obscure new law called Intro 429 under the guise of improving safety. So it's always some kind of just nonsense. It's just some silliness. Oh yeah, it's going to improve safety. Well, is it unsafe? Are we saying it's unsafe the way it is, the way that we've been doing it for years and years and years? Are there some studies we can point to? Hey, if you don't have a master plumber, this is going to blow up on you. Is that a thing? I don't think so, right? I don't think so. Council's about to double or triple the cost of replacing major household appliances. Need a new stove? A new clothes dryer? How about a dishwasher or refrigerator? Those don't run on gas, do they? No. But anyway, get ready to pay a licensed master plumber big bucks. Many cases, more than the cost of appliance itself, just to hook it up. Regulation. The more you load that up, the more expensive it is. And people don't look at it individually and then on the whole. They're just like, oh, yeah, I don't want to have my apartment blow up. I don't want to have my home blow up. Damn right, we need a master plumber in here. And it's like, look at the facts. What are the facts? We've been doing it a certain way. Most communities don't require this. I'm going to say almost all communities don't require this. And so it's one more thing. It's one more thing as leadership in these big blue cities says, well, we need more affordable housing. Meanwhile, they're just shooting themselves in the foot. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. What could go wrong? Intro 429 has several components, but the one that affects every city resident, from single-family homeowners to co-ops and condo owners to millions of tenants, is the provision that defines who can install kitchen and other large appliances. The law will add hundreds of dollars to every installation because it'll require licensed master plumbers to perform a job store technicians, building supers, contractors, and handy homeowners have been doing safely for decades. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out, right? Not that hard to figure this out. It's like, oh. And it's always in the guise of, oh, this is going to be safer for the consumer. Yeah, but at what expense? And does it make sense? And is it justified? Is it warranted? Hell to the no. It's just not. This is not. This is absurd. How do we know it's safe? Because right now, you can buy a stove from Home Depot, PC Richard & Sons, or any local appliance store, have it delivered, installed, without issue. Sometimes a super or contractor does the work. Pretty basic. Basic stuff. I mean, it is not, it doesn't need an engineering degree to get these things put together correctly. That's how it's been done in New York City for decades without any risk or danger. I mean, after you install it, you run some stuff around the outside, and if it blows bubbles, then you got leaks. You got gas leaks. And then don't light up a cigarette right there. Don't smoke your whatever right there. It's gonna blow up. Not a good idea. But everybody basically knows that's what you got to do, right? You got to figure out if you got a leak after you install it. It's like after you do an oil change on your car, if you do that yourself, well, do I have the oil filter on there correctly? Is it leaking oil? Did I put the oil plug back in and tighten it adequately, or is it leaking oil? You got to take some responsibility for just normal stuff, and the vast majority of us do. Like, yeah, I think my building supervisor can install this because he's installed all the rest of them in my 800-unit apartment, and nobody's blowing up left or right, are they? No. And if this was an epidemic of, explosions, okay. All right. We got a problem here based on But that's not what's going on. You just got shenanigans. You just got New York City Council. Greatest thing ever. Let's make them pay more. Tragic gas explosions and fires that make headlines are typically caused by gas main leaks. The main coming in to the building, or illegal piping, or homeless people. Homeless people cause so many explosions, so many fires, right? For illegal piping, not appliance hookups, which have never caused such a disaster here. New York Post comes out and says that. I'm sure they did their research, right? And even if you had a handful, it's kind of like you're always going to have outliers in any industry, right? You're going to have some knuckleheads who deserve to be incarcerated for their terrible work and what they've done. But that doesn't mean you change the whole system to an absolute, all right, let's go to the Mac Daddy. Unless you have a master plumber's license, you can't do this. But that hasn't kept special interests from using fear to push city council members into creating a profitable new monopoly. Plumbing. I tell people all the time, hey, if you can't figure out, what you want to do when you grow up, when, you don't want to go to college, you want to go into the trades, become an electrician, become a plumber, become a whatever. Run that stuff. Start your own company. Go to community college. Get an AA degree, super cheap, with emphasis in accounting, emphasis in business degree, emphasis in marketing, those skills that you need to run a business. You don't need a 4-year degree from a liberal arts college to do that, but you do need some skill set. You can do it at a community college. You get your basics there, right? Assets and liabilities, all that good stuff, right? It's going to be a sweet gig for plumbers, easy work at a premium, with most charging $500 or more installation. I don't know where they're getting that number for the $500. Having somebody sign off. Okay, this is what we charge. Maybe there already is that option if you bring a master plumber into it, but on having every single one, $500 to me, that sounded cheap. I was thinking more like $1,000. Because, there's only 1,100 master plumbers in New York City, and population, 7.5 million. They're going to be able to charge whatever they want, right? Because what are you going to do? Oh, yeah, no, I'm going to go to one of the other. Oh, yeah, I've already got you on the line, on my thread, whatever it might be. You're just going to say, all right, what's your price? And you're going to go with it. Because these guys are going to be, in massive demand. You've taken small supply, created huge demand, utilizing small supply of contractor, and it's going to be nuts. But when Intro 429 passes, as it's on track to at the city's council next meeting, the results for residents won't be greater safety, but higher costs and worse service. 100%. 100%. And this is what drives costs, through the roof. It's just, it's not that hard to figure out. Not that hard to figure out. If a tenant stove breaks, building owners will go all out to repair rather than replace it, just to avoid the steep installation cost. Okay? I'm surprised they didn't tag out all repairs need to be done by a master plumber. I mean, and I've worked on electric stoves. I haven't worked on gas stoves just because, I'm going to call somebody who's got a little bit better plumbing skills than I do. And my plumbing skills they're not awesome. They're okay. I mean, they're they exist, but you wouldn't want me to come replumb your home. Let's just put it that way, right? A leaking faucet, yes, can do. Can I replace a dishwasher? Yeah, I can. But other stuff, more technical, I just don't really like to get into wiring. And I think most people don't either. But the bottom line is you can read through the instructions on these bad boys and tear apart your old one and kind of figure out how it goes. And it's not all that critical. But if you do it wrong and then you sit down there and you light up a cigarette or a whatever cigar, it's not good either. Plumbers are already busy with serious work. All contractors are busy with serious work. They just are serious work. Repairing gas mains, repiping buildings, handling city-required inspections, working in boiler rooms and on heating systems. But now they're going to have to come out and replace your stove? A super simple install? It's like saying that you need a master mechanic to do an oil change on a car. Now, somebody with just the utmost highest of learning skills. You want to go work for a dealership? Hey, great, working on cars. You're going to need to get that additional training, right? You're going to need to know, all right, series of cars I'm working on, Toyota, Honda, whatever. You're going to need to get a bunch of schooling to figure out how all the mechanics work, because this stuff is so specialized now. Same drill with plumbing. You can't just run in there, I'm just going to fix this and figure out how it goes. You can't go in there with a general plumbing license and expect to get, signed off on a super tricky commercial big, a prison or whatever. And the reason I say that is my brother is a commercial, a master plumber. He's held a master plumber's license for 22 years. And he plumbed, I think, some schools. He's plumbed some prisons and anything that needs plumbing, right? And a lot of that is gas because so much of this stuff runs on gas. So you got to have one of those guys. But you don't need that. You don't need his skill set to put in a stove. Absolutely absurd. But that's what these big blue cities are doing. That is how we get there. That's how you get $4,000 of monthly rent required on average to live in New York City. All of this just absolute nonsense layered on top of itself. Throw in a, controlled supply of housing, and this is what you get. Prices aren't going to go down. And yet you will hear New Yorkers talk about, we've got a real affordability problem here. We've got a real affordability issue. You're the ones that voted in these knuckleheads on your city council that are just misguided or paid off or whatever by the plumbing unions. Hey, how can we make this become law? Because this is going to be great for our business. Yeah, it's something like that going on, right? Guaranteed. So I don't think they've voted. As of when I'm recording this for you, they have not voted on it. I couldn't find a vote, and I couldn't find when that council meeting was that they're going to do that. New York Times, I forgot to read it, but or New York Post. So let's call this what this is, a shakedown. And the city council is playing the enforcer, threatening substantial fines on anyone who doesn't go along. Messed up. But this is nothing new. This is your big, blue, progressive cities just doing layer after layer of nonsense that causes things to go through the roof. It's like here in city of Seattle. They're outlawing software that somehow colludes to increase rent prices. King County, they've outlawed certain real page software. Everybody uses software to figure out, their costs. And yet King County has such an affordability issue that they're going to blame something like software that somehow colludes to drive rent prices up. Oh, it's not the massive lack of supply of housing. It's rental software that's doing it. Blame the rent software. What? That is absolute insanity. That's the world that we live in. All right. In big blue cities. Elsewhere, not so much. And that's why you live there. And you're like, good Lord, who'd want to live there? Well, yeah, about 7.5 million people in New York City. Soon to be less, right? Soon to be less, because you've got an exodus from these big blue cities. All right, that's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.